Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well on this terrific Tuesday. You're looking terrific. So the week is treating you well, even though we're just into it. And I'm going to get straight into the meat and potatoes as we have a bit to talk about. Now, yesterday, a lot of you reached out and you was like, you got to watch this video, you got to watch this video, you got to watch this video, which we're not going to play the video because I can guarantee that video got demonetized immediately and could at some point get removed. Let's just say that much. But before I talk about it, I just want to put where I stand. And where I stand is I do not for 1 second believe the story that we're being told. I do not believe that this was just a situation where one angry little fucknugget wasn't happy with what Charlie Kirk was saying and he decided to grab Granddad's gun with a $2,000 scope and some modifications and shot him with a .30-06 round from where we've been told. And that's the rest is history. And Lance Twiggs has got nothing to do with it. He just happened to be in the same house while he was fucking writing on bullet casings and shit like that and turned into some Shakespearean writer while they were going backwards and forwards to one each other. I don't believe none of that. I don't believe it at all. We've obviously, yesterday I covered the fact that this surgeon has turned around and said that the bullet was found just under Charlie's skin. I do want to go back into that because I feel that there could be a clue in there somewhere. But let's get into this video and just talk about this, because I think what people don't understand is when we look at certain things in a certain way, we forget, probably overlook the ramifications that may have and what you're basically saying. Okay, now I know that for a long period of time since this happened, we have been trying to establish whether the injury that we all witnessed, especially if you was unlucky enough to see the proper version, the actual, you know, the horrendous version of this. Obviously, I know some people haven't, because there's some people out there who are saying, well, where's the blood, yada yada yada. There was blood, absolutely. But this entry, is this exit, has been a bone of contention since the day it happened. And what we're looking at here is just this video. This video has gone viral. It's 1.3 million views and climbing. And up to this point, this individual's videos were getting around 6,000 views. So this has become a viral hit. And it's basically saying that Charlie was shot from this direction down here, and there was an entrance wound on this side, and it came out this side. So concrete in the fact that this is an exit wound, which I think that the vast majority of people are now, they fully have jumped in bed with that as an idea. But what they're forgetting is the ramifications that has. Because for a start off, this angle here, if you follow the trajectory, this isn't where the exit wound was. The exit wound was pretty much in the front here. So it tells you, unless it ricocheted inside, which is possible, I suppose. But if it come out here, it's got to, if it's a straight line, it's got to come from behind to come out front. And we know that Charlie was enclosed in. He was enclosed. He had a backdrop. But so how does something come in from this angle at the side and then come through the front? That in itself doesn't make sense. But that isn't the only issue that you have here. If this is indeed a through and through, what is missing? Well, obviously the bullet itself. If it's come through Charlie and it's come through here, then it's going to have gone somewhere. So where did it go? You know, like people will turn around and say, well, it's lucky that this didn't kill somebody else. Well, the chances are that this bullet would have hit something. Now, don't get me wrong. I did a video the other day that someone would come out and say that they heard something that sounded like metal on metal. Like a real sort of grating sound. So some will argue, or could argue, that maybe what they heard was the bullet coming through and hitting something. So that's a possibility. But this angle here doesn't make sense to me. Just that in itself doesn't make sense. And there's another segment of this where he's showing, and again, I can't show it, and I'm sure you've seen it. If you're following this, you've seen this video, showing that there seems to be blood at the back of Charlie's head. I would argue that that's not. I would argue that that is very likely his necklace. He's got a necklace around his neck. You see literally the whole shirt fly up, and I would imagine that that's the necklace that you can see. But what I will also tell you is when you are videoing something, what you're looking at here is phone footage, video phones, which are probably shooting 4K 30. You could argue that because the actual quality of the video don't look like 4K. But if it's gone round houses and it's been uploaded through different things, sent to this person, then sent to that person, the compression, it will get compressed, will lose quality, and then it will look shite by the end of it, whatever it is. Even if I film this video in 4K and upload it to YouTube alone, the compression will destroy it. But what I'm getting at is if you're filming something, even if you're filming in 4K 30 frames per second, you're not going to get a true representation in this situation of what happened because the camera can't capture quick enough what is happening. Because people will point out that when you watch this video, and if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, go and check it out, how quickly things are moving, the camera just can't keep up. So this 30 frames per second, that is the maximum data that this phone, and that's if it's in 4K 30, don't get me wrong, it could be 4K 120, very highly unlikely in this situation. It could even be 1080p and then 30 or 24 frames per second, who knows. Point being, whatever this was filmed on is not going to capture everything that happens. So if you see a movement and then you see a wound, that's not necessarily how that transpires because you're not getting a true representation. But anyway, what I want to say is from this angle, and if this is in and out, my question would be, where did the bullet then go? And again, this doesn't come from a point of trying to tell you to believe the narrative that's being told, because I don't believe the narrative that's being told, not at all. I absolutely think the whole lot is a load of shite. But I think it's dangerous to consider certain things when you haven't fully thought it through. Like in this situation, okay, if he was shot from there, where did the bullet go? The bullet would have had to have come in, gone out, gone somewhere. And we do not have an in, out, and somewhere. And those problems don't end there because we've now been told, and again, we haven't seen we haven't seen the official autopsy report, so that is still pending. So you do have to take everything with a grain of salt. But Andrew Colvert would come out and say, look, the bullet was found inside Charlie, just under the skin. So if that's the case, then we are confirming, apparently we're confirming, or the camp Charlie Kirk is confirming that there was no exit. There was no exit wound. We've got one wound here and a bullet inside Charlie somewhere. I've seen some different versions of saying it was found near his heart or different place in the body. So we don't have the full context, but what his camp is seemingly pushing is that there is no exit wound, which if that's the case, then this then brings issues in. Because if we're saying that this is an exit wound, then there is an entrance wound, which would then mean that Charlie Kirk's camp, which would include Charlie Kirk's wife, are lying. So we are now, if we are settling in that this is an accurate representation of what happened, if we're saying, no, this is what happened, this is entry behind here, comes out here, even though, again, tell me if I'm wrong, it looked like it was kind of in here, come out here, so a straight line would be pretty much behind. If you're coming up and you're coming down from this angle to this point, that isn't representative of what we actually saw. And if it's coming down here, it would have probably hit him again. It would have come through and hit him in his own shoulder. But again, that's by and by. I'm not a professional. I'm just looking at this from this drawing in itself, and that's just not accurate. But yeah, we start to then implicate other people. What we're saying is Charlie Kirk's wife has listened to the story. She's been told that Tyler Robinson from over there shot a gun and it hit Charlie here. Done. And she is what? She's actually in the knowledge that that's not what happened, that he was hit from here and it came out here, because now you're removing the exit wound. They could have said, no, it did exit. They'd have struggled because obviously we know that there's footage in the camera that was behind him, which Candace Owens has reported on and stated that there didn't seem to be anything behind. So they then had to kind of counter that, which that's what you see in media all the time. Something kind of gets brought out and then media will come and step in and there will be a story formulated in order to appease. And it was just brilliant timing that you've got a big platform like Candace Owens. They question footage from behind Charlie. Oh, and lo and behold, just a few hours later, we see the anticipated media. Oh, actually, this explains this. And even though it had to get to the point where they turned around and said Charlie Kirk is a man of steel, that's why it didn't come through. But there is another reason why you could have potentially not seen an exit wound, which could lead you to believe that this is a lot more complex than first thought. Because look, ultimately, if this was just about Charlie and getting rid of Charlie for some unbeknownst reason. We know that there was things going on around Charlie. He'd recently had this trip over to the Hamptons. There'd been some disagreement over his stance in certain political areas. He had been called certain things that rarely did upset Charlie, and he'd raised with other people in his closer circle. So there was things happening. He was getting funded and pulled. He was in a situation where his thoughts on certain things were starting to change, starting to shift, and he was being pulled over the coals for it. So there were things going on. But say you want a patsy in this individual, Tyler Robinson. What if he was supplied with everything? And what if the bullets that were used were primed, they were built for this specific situation, and it was to go in and not come out, not to hurt somebody else. This was just about Charlie. We want to make sure that he is the only target. We don't want any other ramifications that could become problematic. We don't want a through and through and accidentally ping someone else. So let's build a bullet that we know is going to be slowed. It's going to do its job, but you're not going to have the ferocity, the power, the force that you would expect from this round, because it's a modified round, which you can do easily. Well, I say easily, if you know what you're doing, you can build your own bullet and take some of the contents of its production out to lesser its power. So there are things that would explain away why we don't see an exit wound. I think we're in dangerous territory if we start to say, no, look, the people in the inner circle, including Charlie Kirk's wife, is complicit in his assassination. Because Charlie Kirk and his wife seem to have a loving relationship. I must admit, when you watch her, she's very... a lot of what she does is Oscar worthy, and I've seen her get a lot of criticism for that, from obviously what happened the other day. Charlie Kirk's widow Erika said she forgave the man accused of killing her husband during an emotional speech. I don't know whether that was just kind of lip service. Look at what she is. Look at what she claims to be from a religious perspective. That is literally what that demands of her, to forgive. Does she rarely forgive? And if she doesn't rarely forgive in her heart, do you know what I mean? Then her performance is going to be Oscar worthy, because it needs to be, because she's sitting there in a situation that is promoting this and Charlie's kind of his godly ways and godly manners, and she's got to stand by that. She's got to show that she is a proponent of Christianity, that she believes in all this, that he's with God, and that this young man deserves to be, forgiven, while simultaneously previously seemingly asking for retribution. She wanted revenge. So look, but she's getting pulled over the coals. But is Charlie Kirk's wife and the mother of Charlie Kirk's now without a father children, is she complicit in the execution of her husband and father of her children? Is she really that? We'll leave it at that. Is this woman that person? Was this a hostile takeover of Turning Point USA, and she was always earmarked to be the new CEO under some dark umbrella? Because that's what we're saying. Because she would literally have to cover up the fact that there was an exit wound. He wasn't shot the way that it's being told. She would have to not say anything about the fact that Tyler Robinson then isn't the person who did this. And I don't think that's the story here. I don't think that is the story. Do I think that the story we're being told is the right one? As aforementioned, do I fuck? There is more to this. I think there are more moving pieces. We may later on find out that there are indeed more people involved. I absolutely believe that more people knew that this was going to happen before it happened. Do I think that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger? I don't know, because I don't know how skilled he was. He obviously grew up around weapons, and when I listened to a lot of specialists, this was a shot from 142 yards. And from what I can hear, if he'd been somebody around guns for a long period of time from when he was younger, 142 yards from a slight elevation, is it out of the realms of possibility for him to hit the target? What was the target? Was it a drop shot? Was it a headshot that went south? Literally went south, and it was just unlucky. Had the bullets been modified? Had they been sitting around? Who knows? Were they fully capable of what they would have been if they'd have been built a different way? Is that why we actually don't see an in and out? Was Tyler a distraction? But was Charlie Kirk indeed shot from the front, where Tyler was, but was there a second shooter? We don't know. But this exit wound is becoming problematic. This being an exit wound and saying that there is an entry wound somewhere else, the ramifications of that and the implications of that, we've got to think what we're saying. And when you start to say that, you're implicating many, many people. And the main person you're implicating in this is Charlie Kirk's widow. And I don't know how I feel about that at this stage. Yes, she said some things and made some comments that seem Oscar-worthy, but she's just lost her husband. She's lost her husband. She's got to stand up in front of thousands of people. A lot of that would have been choreographed by other people. She's just got to go along with it. She's got to say things that are in line with her religious beliefs and stand there and be the person that a lot of people see her as. She has just took over Turning Point USA. Look, it is what it is. But let me know down below where you sit. Did you watch this video? What did you feel about it? But are you comfortable enough to understand that if we're saying that this is an exit wound, what the ramifications of that mean? There was a lot of people who are then hiding the fact that there was 2 injuries to Charlie, and there's a lot of people who are sitting around and they're okay with that. They're okay with that. And also, where did the bullet go? If it came out here, where did it go? And why did not one person, when you've got a crowd literally feet away, not one person notice anything? Not one. Love you all. I'll catch you all in the next one.